good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel, stroke on the sofa. We're going to do a bit of review of Saturday and what a game that was. So we'll have some good chat about that one. And we'll look at the transfer deadline. So it is just this minute closed, I think. So if there's anything that's happened in the last 2 minutes, I'll have to catch up. So let's bring Vic on.
Hi, Chris.
There we go. Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. You might well have noticed in that opening a lot of new players, some old faces, but a lot of new faces. And two more have joined us today, and those were the last two. Adam Murphy on loan from Bristol City, who's a midfield player, and Jamie Knight-Labelle on loan from Bristol City, who's a defender and is Canadian and is away on duty with the Canadian team. And I think he's going to be playing in Swansea next week.
Oh, right, okay.
Against Wales. So,
okay.
New signings. And Owen Foy has left the Supermarine on a work experience loan. So that's the last bit of transfer action we have at the moment.
Yeah. At the moment, well, it's 7:01, so we might get something in the next 20 minutes or so. And what we need to say good luck to Bo Tanamine as well, who's off up to Norwich. Hope he gets on really well up there. He's such a lovely lad. And I do hope it's the right move for him. So
definitely. I've got SAS news for you. No more bookings being taken for Barrow. That's this coming Saturday, of course, leaving West Swindon at 6:30 a.m. The Nigel Leedy County Ground at 7 and Cirencester around about 7:20-ish a.m. There is a second coach on sale for Salford, which is the 20th of September. That departs West Swindon at 8:15 and the County Ground at 8:45. Members £29, non-members £31. And then Newport, which is on the 4th of October, departs the County Ground at 9:15. It's a 12:30 kickoff. West Swindon at 9:30. Members £18, non-members £20. And it's bookings in the shop only until September 13th. If people ring on the SAS number, they won't get a response for the next 2 weeks. So shop only, please, if you want to book on SAS travel. There you go. And
the tickets for Newport start going on sale tomorrow morning. And it's points driven. So it goes through till next week, I think, when your points get lower, as long as there's availability. Right, thanks, Rick, for that. So tonight we've just got something a bit different to start us off with. We have got a lot of members, OSC members, from either international or away from Swindon, sort of quite a bit away from Swindon, so you don't expect them to be here every Saturday. And I invited them to come on and just say, how did you get involved with Swindon? And things. And we've got Thelma Senning on this today. So I'm just going to bring Thelma on. This is news to Vic because she's just come on. So there we go. Hiya, how are you?
All right. A bit difficult getting logged on, but there we
are. Oh, right. But you managed it. You're here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with Vic and I will see you shortly. Okay?
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much indeed, Chris. And after we've spoken to Thelma, of course, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the transfer window, which is now officially shut. And indeed, of course, that extraordinary performance on Saturday at Crewe. Thelma, very good evening to you. Absolutely delighted you're with us. Whereabouts are you geographically?
I'm near Llandovery in West Wales, in a small village, Killicum, with no pub, no shops, nothing, just the village. And it's about, I suppose, about 25 miles from Brecon and 36 miles from Swansea. So a bit out in the wilds.
Right. So geographically then, even I can work out that that's not very close to Swindon, is it? So in time-wise, how long does it take you to get there, should you go to the county?
If I drove, I could do it in about 2.5 hours. But by train, I can get there eventually, but I can't get back in the same day. I need a couple of days, basically.
Even in 2025, you can't do it in one day. It's extraordinary.
No, not at
So,
all.
what are your Swindon connections then? Let's get to the bottom line.
Well, first of all, I found out recently that my grandfather played for a team that before Swindon took over the county ground, he played for a team called
Swindon Spartans.
No, the Spartans were the Swindon football. He won the Wiltshire Challenge Cup playing for Swindon Wanderers. And they used the county ground before Swindon Spartans did. And but I didn't really know much about that. But I started going to Swindon with my mum, who took me and my two sisters back in 58, 59 season. And we used to stand on the corner of Stratton Bank and Shrivenham Road corner, and we went from then. And I joined the supporters club in the season of 64-65. So since then I've been a member, although I've moved around since then. But it started with my mum bringing me, and since then I've brought both my children, my son Matthew and my daughter Nina, and now my grandson, Arthur. So, we've continued it right from when Mum used to bring us. So
fantastic. So did you bring them kicking and screaming and they say, no, and we don't want to go? Or did they gladly go?
No, they gladly came. My son particularly he always loved coming. My daughter got a bit cross because she got a backache standing up all the time. And then my son, I used to bring him because we lived at that time in Minety near Malmesbury, and I used to bring him with a friend and drop them off. They'd go down to the town end, and we would stay up in Stratton Bank. So not allowed to stay with Mum. He was about 7 at the time. And he's now living in West Sussex, and he's a season ticket holder with his son, Arthur.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they travel very regularly up to Swindon. So they're very keen. And he reminded me today of the time we went up to watch Swindon at Newcastle. You probably remember this, when we got beaten 5-0. We got on the train at Swindon. They didn't find the train driver, so we were very late getting up to Newcastle. And we didn't get home till about 3 a.m. And Matt said to me, that was the best day of my life so far. So,
well, it was a FA Cup match, wasn't it? Is that the one you're talking about?
Right,
yeah. I was on that special train as well. It kept breaking down, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And it was perishingly cold too.
It was very cold, and we were very late. And I think we can't remember, but we thought perhaps Paul Gascoigne was playing at Newcastle, wasn't he, that day?
He was, and Mirandinho was as well.
Mirandinho.
Yeah.
Name.
My story was I was on that train. I was supposed to be doing the commentary on it, and couldn't get into the ground 20 minutes after the kickoff. So it wasn't a great day, was it?
No, I can remember with the horses taking us down both sides of the road so that we didn't smack all the windows in on the. And I kept thinking, I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
No, I think we all felt that at the conclusion of the game. This is from Craig, who lives in Scotland, right? And travels down to watch the town. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, Thelma, that's the bright lights. We lived at Argoed near Tredegar for a few years. Everywhere is a long way from there. There are a few based town fans scattered through the valleys.
Yeah.
Shemai, he says. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of hello. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So we're all over the place. I'm in Devon at the minute. So, well, not in the minute. I live here, but so we're all over the shop, really, which is great.
We are. It's. I mean, I managed to keep up either through iFollow with the commentaries, but this year they're doing a lot more videos, aren't they? Which I've managed to catch up on. But
how often do you get to watch the town then? How many times?
Only about 4 or 5 times a season, I suppose. Although now Shrewsbury's back down in our league, I'll get up to Shrewsbury on the train. I can do that on the train and back in a day. Although the last time I did it, I got up there and the taxi never turned up to take me back into the train station. So I had to get a steward to get me back to get the train on time.
Wow.
I had to stay overnight. So
things we do, eh? I mean, it's amazing, really. So if we're at Newport, of course, this season, will that be when you can get to?
Yes, I think I'll get to Newport. My husband is unfortunately not a sports fan at all, but he is a bird watcher. So I'll get him to go down to the Newport levels and drop me off at the ground and pick me up later. So I will.
Perfect. Well, I mean, what are your highlights? I mean, I'm guessing you were around for the first promotion season in 62, 63. There's the League Cup year, of course. What are your highlights?
I didn't make the League Cup because at that time I was self-employed and there was a newsagent's kiosk up next door to the Adver office up in Victoria Road. And I was very heavily pregnant then with Matt, my son. So I never made that 69 thing. So I did see all the victory parade coming back, which was lovely. And
did you often say to him, because of you, I missed the League Cup final? Do you often say
yes. He says that was, at least we were both, he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is that. I mean, he started coming to football when he was 7, and the first match he went to was we played Peterborough. I can't remember the score, but so it was a bit difficult when you're self-employed and working Saturdays, and also had a daughter a couple of years later, Nina. She still comes now, and luckily she's moved not too far from me in Wales. And she will take me up to the ground sometimes. So
when's your next visit, would you say?
Oh, probably. Well, we're off on holiday middle of September, so I would think sometime in October I'll get to the next game. But I do. If I don't get there, I listen to it or I watch it, and just can't wait. And we've got a sort of family WhatsApp that we can talk to each other during the match. And so that's nice. It feels like you're at the game, especially if my son's always there, so he can tell us, what's really happening.
Yeah, fantastic. That is great. Did you come along to one of our memorabilia sales, if I remember?
Yeah, I brought
some medals.
Yeah, I've got some medals from my grandfather before the Swindon took over the county ground. And I want to give it to the, once we've got the memorabilia stuff all sorted. So I do want it to go there. And my son's put some things in there because my in-laws from my first marriage used to run the sort of lottery in Swindon. The Tom Stenning and Eileen Stenning used to run the lottery back in the 60s, the early 60s. So with all sorts of Ken Moraney, I can't remember all the names of people there. Oh, and also I was at school with Ernie Hunt. He was the year above me in Jennings Street School. So that was we used to watch him playing because Jennings Street School didn't have any playing fields. So he did all his football on the hard concrete. I think that's what made him such a good ball player.
He probably did, yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds fantastic. You've got loads and loads of memories, and that's kind of what football's about, isn't it? Meeting people, and it's we go on about the game, of course we do, but it's much more than that, isn't it?
Yes. For years, often I've gone on my own. I've been to away games on my own, and everybody's lovely wherever you go. They've all been kind and helpful. It's just been. My husband he's not a sports enthusiast, and he thinks I'm obsessed with Swindon. But probably am, but there we are. It's a bit too late to worry about that.
Yeah, we all are. Unfortunately, we have that problem, don't we? What do you think of this start to the season, and what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's very good. I think, we've got a very good basis of a really good team. So I just a couple of weeks ago I watched them and I hated that long ball game. I know we have to have it sometimes to get out of League 4. Well,
Yeah. Division 4. You're right. It's okay.
But last week it was just unfortunately my internet kept going down, so I missed some of it. But it was just lovely. The football was really just what you want to see. Really, really good. So I do think, fingers crossed, we've got a good chance. I really don't want to go to the playoffs. I want to go straight through. I can't. My blood pressure won't cope with the playoffs. I don't think.
I think you take the playoffs, but none of us want to go through the playoffs. That's basically. Exactly. Yes, let's just go straight up. Let's not bother with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, I think we've got a really good chance. We've got a very good team there. Some really good players that are developing, and they seem to be cohesive as a team, which seems to be the answer, really. So fingers crossed.
Well, Thelma, thank you ever so much for joining us, and hopefully you can join us again before the end of the season. It'd be lovely to chat to you and catch up again. So
thank you. That's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much indeed, Thelma. And we look forward to seeing the Canterbury. Pop in and see us in the Legends when you come down next.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Thelma. You're very welcome to stay on and join in the conversation if you wish, or you can leave at your own convenience, whatever. Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on, Thelma. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely.
Okay.
Both of you.
No problem. Yeah. Right, let's bring the rest of the gang on. So we've got Mark.
Hello.
Rob.
Evening all.
Got Anna. And we've got Gus. There we go. Right. Okay. I will leave you till later and I'll see you in a bit.
Lovely. Thanks very much indeed, Chris. We've just been talking to Thelma in West Wales. Gus is in the beautiful Chesapeake Bay, where it is Labour Day. So what's going on Labour Day, Gus?
It's the traditional end of summer, although not literally, but kind of all the kids will go back to school and picnics. I actually have a basket of crabs here and some ribs we're going to put on the grill and a few beers and picnic, and that's kind of the traditional thing to do. And spend time with your family.
Every time you come on, you make us feel, what's going on. No, well, thank you very much indeed for joining us on what is effectively, I guess, a bank holiday, isn't it? That's what it is. Meteorologically, of course, the first day of autumn, and the sun sets for the first time this year at this, obviously it did before, but before 8 o'clock. So it really is getting to that stage of the year. Mark, a very good evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. All the better for Saturday. Yeah, very good.
Rob, how are you?
Yeah, all good, Vic. Thank you very much. I'm just thinking that a basket of crabs, as Gus just mentioned, probably describes Barnet quite well, doesn't it? A couple of weeks ago.
We'll introduce that as a new saying. Anna, hello to you.
Hello. How you doing?
Hello. Right, let's get into the transfer window, which is now officially shut. Thank goodness, 19 minutes ago. The late news was that we signed two from Bristol City. Jamie Knight-Labelle, who is a Canadian international. He's on loan from Bristol City. And Adam Murphy is also an Irish under-21 international. He's on loan from Bristol City as well. And the very late news, Owen Foy has gone to Supermarine on a work experience loan. So, 15 players in, Mark, which is an extraordinary amount of players. And I'm just going to, Graham says, what a transfer window, shows real intent. Paul says, looking solid at the minute. We've got a strong side with plenty of competition, which is only good for the club. We'll get some more. A great transfer window, says Darren, for the town. Money made and some players in. What are your thoughts on that? 15 players in, the notable departure, of course, Botan Amin.
I don't think you can argue with any of it, Vic, can you? I think we're all sitting there thinking, what would the transfer window look like? And in previous years, it's been who we're going to sell. Doesn't look like we've sold anybody unless something comes to light, in the next hour or so. I know Delaney's been mentioned as a player who might be leaving, but doesn't appear to be. So you've got to say, great credit to the club. My thoughts are about the owner and all the rest of it, but I don't need to go into that tonight. And it's all positive. And you're signing players the ilk of Tafazoli and more particularly Palmer. And as one of the listeners said, it is a statement of intent to suggest that for the first time, perhaps since the playoff campaign 4 years ago, we are serious about being promotion contenders. I suspect a lot of that is down to Holloway's pulling power. Those players are not going to come with sorry, Mark Kennedy, I don't suppose you're listening to this, but they're not going to come for Mark Kennedy, are they? But, Holloway's reputation and his sort of profile in the game makes people want to come to Swindon and Swindon to be the club that they should be, which is able to pull those sorts of players in to give us a realistic chance of going up. Because I've said before, we must get out of this wretched division this season. We really must. We must be plying our trade in at League One level at the very least by next season, I feel, to make any progress as a football club.
Well, let me go through them. This is going to take a while, so if you want to make a cup of tea whilst I go through these names, it might be an idea. Darren Oldacre from Chesterfield, he was on a free. Tom Nichols from Mansfield on a free, was with us last season, of course. Billy Bowden from Burton Albion on a free. The marquee signing, I guess you could say, Ollie Palmer from Wrexham on a free. James Ball from Wimbledon, free. Lewis Ward from Wimbledon, free. Joe Snowden from Leeds on a free. Philosophie Mabeti from Wolves on a free. Ryan Tavazzoli from Wickham on a free. Jake Tabor from Amersham, free. Then we got a loan player, Aston Villa's Finley Munro on loan. Tom Wilson-Brown from Leicester on loan. Princewell Hatchapichaman from Southampton on loan. And then, of course, don't forget the re-signings. Paul Glatzel, Aaron Drinnan, Connor Ripley, Joel McGregor. I don't think I've missed anybody, Rob. If I have, I really apologise. But I think I wrote them all down. And then, of course, those late additions, which I mentioned.
Yeah, Murphy and Knight LaBelle, who, again, played pretty much a full season in League Two last season for Crewe, didn't he? So it's even though we've signed two young players today from Bristol City, there's experience in there with one of them who certainly knows this division very well in a defence last year that actually was pretty tight for most of the season until the very end. They had their very good defensive record, Crewe, until the last 2 or 3 months of the season when the wheels sort of came off a little bit. So he played 38 games there last year. Murphy's coming with a lot of potential. All of the despair at the loss of Harry Smith and the Barnet debacle from 2 weeks ago seems to have been completely washed away over the course of the last 5 or 6 days. The signing of Tafazoli was really important. We desperately need size at the back. Got away with it a little bit on Saturday because Mabeti was outstanding as is in that centre of defence. And they didn't really have that big powerhouse up front that we're used to seeing in League Two to make any difference. But now you've got a big centre half coming as well, alongside almost a direct replacement for Harry Smith, but somebody who probably is a little bit more wanting to play the ball to feet. I think Ollie Palmer, whilst he's a big old unit, actually is used to it, to teams who play football around him. So hopefully the transition we've seen from what was a very direct and sterile performance against Barnet a couple of weeks ago to two really good footballing displays in the last 2 weeks. And that Saturday performance against Crewe was as good as we've seen for a long, long time. That gives us real hope that, as Mark said a few minutes ago, this squad this year is good enough now to contend for top three.
Yeah, we will get onto the Crewe game, of course, because I stopped smiling, basically. That first 45 minutes was magnificent. And it took me back to Leyton Orient a few years ago under Richie Wellens, that first 45 minutes, albeit we think we conceded in that. So you could argue Crewe's better. But anyway, we'll get onto that in a minute. Anna, 15 incoming. At the moment, we only know Botan. Anybody who watched Gavin Kilkenny on Saturday, my God, if you wanted a midfield player, you go, I'll have him. He was magnificent. So if we can keep hold of everybody, we don't know all the detritus from transfer deadline day yet. But what have you thought of it?
Yeah, I think the thing that pleases me most is we got 2 more players called Ollie, so we can say Ollie, Ollie, Ollie. Bit disappointed to see us signing a couple of defenders this afternoon. I thought it might just be forwards. That's what we do when we stack and rack, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, it's quite astonishing, really. When Ollie Palmer's name was mentioned, I almost choked and thought, well, we're not getting him, are we? But as it turns out, he's friends with Ryan Tafazoli, so I think that's partly it. And you've mentioned the draw that Holloway provides, but it's not just Holloway as a draw to players looking from the outside in. It's that Holloway himself has said he is calling the shots. So much like maybe in that Ghana season, Ben Chorley was kind of directing the traffic on signings. Nobody's coming or going without Holloway saying yes or no. And that's probably key. He's not afraid. He's not shrinking violet, is he? He'll tell Mulfuni what he wants, and he wants to get it. He's brought in a good combination right from last season. Those players we signed on loan of experience and youth, and he's proved that he can bring those youthful players through. So some of our defensive performances, as we've seen this season already, have been with almost no EFL experience at the back. 3 out of 5. Wilson, Brown, Munro and Snowden hardly having played in the EFL at all, and that's why he wants to bring in some talkers and more experience. But I think it's been one of the best windows for a while, even though we don't like transfer windows, do we? But
no, we don't.
Yeah.
No, but yeah,
no qualms about any of it. And as we said, if as opposed to building your side around Harry Smith, much as he's much missed, you could almost look at it and say, build your side around Gavin Cook-Kelly, to be perfectly honest, if he plays like that every week. But he's going to be a marked man now, isn't he?
Kevin says, disappointed we never got the Welsh lad from Swansea. Now, I don't know if he means Joel Cottrell, who's gone to Rovers on loan, hasn't he, for the rest for this season. So it'll be interesting when we come up against him later this campaign. Gus, from afar, what have your thoughts been? I mean, Saturday, I know you were watching. We will get on to Saturday, but what a difference it's been in the last 2, since Harry Smith's injury and that awful game against Barnet. There are signs that it's growing, but what have you thought of our transfer window?
Yeah, so I will say this is all new to me. I wasn't following the team last year when at this time, but I do have a couple of thoughts. First of all, it seems like the gaffer seems to have a plan, and so we kind of have a principle in the U.S., especially for parents in sports, is you don't complain about playing time for your kid. It's up to the coach to decide who plays and when they play, because they see more than anybody else sees, and the only goal they have is to win. I kind of trust the coach. I think we have to kind of trust the coach. The people that are playing already seem to be great. And these 2 new players, Palmer and Tafazoli, I didn't know anything about them, of course, and I looked and did some research on them, and they've been in high levels and done great things. And so it seems like really positive developments. The fact that they're 6'4" and 6'5", it's pretty obvious what Coach Holloway is trying to do here. And let's just hope it works. I know that I think, is it Palmer? One of them has an Achilles problem right now, or no, the other Tafazoli.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's as minor as they're saying it is, and that he's going to be on the pitch, maybe Saturday or soon as well. And the other names that people have mentioned, I mean, where would we be without Mabete and Monroe? And just a lot of great people have come in. I do think Amin was a very big loss, and I think he's going to be really good in the future, and we may regret that, but you can't have everything.
No, this is a very good point, Mark, isn't it? I think if you said to Swindon fans, how disappointed are you about Botan Amin going? Obviously you're disappointed because he's a talent, but you understand why he's gone, you wish him well, and we've got all these players in instead, if you see what I mean, because it's like 250 grand, I think, up front, wasn't it? Plus add-ons to come later. So that's the major departure. What were your thoughts on it?
It's not big money, is it, in terms of football these days? I suppose at League Two level, it's reasonable money, but it's money that looks as if it's being reinvested in the squad for once. So that's really good. I mean, for Bolton, it's probably a good opportunity. The only thing that I would say to him and others like him, young professionals making their way in the game, is that you think the grass is greener on the other side, but are you actually going to get games? Because the way to develop as a footballer is to play football matches. If you're sitting on the bench or you're not getting games, or at best you might get under 21s, I guess, you're not going to develop as a footballer. And we've seen so many, haven't we, that that you can name who've gone on from Swindon to Premier teams or teams in the Championship, and they just haven't played football. And as a result, they've come back and probably at best have gone back into League Two level. So it's really difficult, because I think we all want to see local lads. We want to see them come through, the youth team and come into the first team. But the reality is, if somebody offers you $250,000 for a lad who's played, a dozen games in the first team, with add-ons and with a sell-on clause, you're going to go, yeah, I'll take the money, because you don't know how he's going to develop. I wanted him to stay, but I can completely understand why the club has taken the money, and it looks as if, like I said, they've chosen to reinvest it in some good signings. So I'm sorry to see him go, but I think it's probably a no-brainer. It's probably the right decision overall.
Rod, let's talk about the young Finley Munro, Tom Wilson-Brown, Etche Bitterman, those loanee players coming in. And, of course, we got Joe Snowden from Leeds. They look good to me. We've said about Mabete, who comes from Wolves. He was fantastic on Saturday, and he was really good against Shrewsbury. Got injured, didn't he? Got taken off towards the end. But they look good players, don't they?
Yeah, and they're inexperienced. Let's be honest. That's what Ian Holloway wanted to work with, didn't he? He wanted to mould his own group again. He wanted to effectively not really have players with an awful lot of baggage. He wanted experience around them, but he wanted players that he could mould into his way of playing. And I think we saw a very edgy set of young players, certainly defensively, who weren't sure what to do when we played against Walsall. Suddenly a player gets sent off after 25 minutes. What do we do now away from home? And they looked like they were, it could be a long season at that point. But we said at the time, you need to have some patience with these young lads. They'll develop. And I think we've seen with Munro, he likes to tackle. He's a bit old school, isn't he? He goes to ground quite easily. That might come back and haunt us some point in the season, but certainly he likes to tackle. Mabete has grown in stature in the course of the 4 or 5 weeks that this season has started. He looked a little bit like a rabbit in the headlights to start with, but now he looks like he's quite composed, having that responsibility of being the man in the centre of the defence as well. He's really important. So with only a big experienced centre-half to come in as well to sort of like, even if he's the direct replacement, he may be, but if not, at least then you've got real good solid backups. But Snowden, his performances in the last couple of weeks, I thought he's been really, really impressive for a really small lad on that right-hand side. And you think he's going to get done for these big forwards in this division, because they're just going to pull on the back of him, make sure that he's the one who's isolated. They'll win all the headers at the far post. But going forward, we now seem to have managed to sort out the three at the back to be able to take on the big boys, give Snowden a bit of space and a bit of chance to go forward. And him and Munro down both sides now look like they are both a real threat. And if you think back to last season, really, the one thing that we lacked was somebody with pace out wide and somebody who would get crosses into the box. Even though we had big Harry Smith to get on the end of them, we really didn't have anyone to deliver it. And now we seem to have two fullbacks. We won't mention set pieces because those set pieces have been dreadful. A bit to work on there. Yeah. But the fact that we've got that pace now, these youngsters are really coming to fruition, and it's great to watch.
Yeah, it is. John has been in touch regarding background, so you might well want to gird yourself for this. Not much to say today, but Mark's extension looks okay. The conservatory looks all right. Rob seems to be getting the message. Visually, Anna's huge radiator is huge. and Gus should visit the UK soon and go back home laden with a suitcase bursting with STFC paraphernalia. So there you are.
Yes.
The judges have spoken. I thought you all got off. Is that a radiator, Anna, or what is it? Or is it an organ?
It is a radiator.
It is a radiator.
Yeah, big organ otherwise, isn't it?
It is extraordinarily large. Now then, what are your thoughts on certain players? Who stood out for you in this one, Anna? I mean, Ollie Palmer we've mentioned. Ryan Reynolds' mother's favourite player. I think I'm right in saying that, from the Wrexham days. But what's your standout signing?
Of the whole piece since the process. The one that surprises me most is Snowden, I suppose, in a way, because he was brought here, I think, as a bit of a. I got the impression he was going to be a bit of a peripheral player, and the Leeds fans were saying, he's a real workhorse, gets his head down. But actually, I think he's been outstanding on the right there, particularly obviously Saturday. The way he played with Glatzel, the way they were, overlapping and seeing each other's runs, I thought that was excellent. So he's been the most surprising one for me, I think. Obviously, Palmer more recently is going to be great, but yeah, I think Snowden has stood out as a really good young player, and he's on a permanent. He's not a loanee, is he?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to bear in mind, that some of these loanees we have theoretically could get called back in January.
Yes.
But when you look at our bench now, more so than I can remember in a long time, you look at our bench and think, okay, when we have to make those 3, 4, 5 subs, whatever we choose to do, we're actually bringing on players that could be starters. You look at, I know he was out from last season, but you look at Danny Butterworth when he came on Saturday. Last thing you want as a Crewe defence is someone like him coming on when you're 3-0 down and just running through you like that. And he was exceptional in that role as well on Saturday, wasn't he? So yeah, I mean we've kind of Holloway's covered all bases, as you said. He's wants to work with the younger players because he can mould them, and I think they seem to be responding to that. But we've got to bear in mind that it's not going to be as easy as it was Saturday, is it? Excuse me. We made it look easy because I think Crewe, no disrespect to what we did, because we worked damn hard for the performance we showed there. Crewe made it a little bit easy. I think they wilted after the second goal, that goalkeeper's mistake. I know we'll talk about that in a bit. So there's nothing to gainsay, is there, against the transfer window. I think it's been great. A lot of strength in depth, and those players that are going to be on the bench, they know they'll play a part, and that's exactly what Holloway demands from them, isn't it? That if they're not starting, they're very much part of that whole piece. Yeah,
got Reading tomorrow in the is it the Virtue Motors these days? It is, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to see what. I mean, it reminds me of the Di Canio days. It's got so many players, you don't know what to do with them all. There's more. I know you're a fan of Butterworth, aren't you, Gus? I mean, we will talk about Saturday in a minute, but I just think he's a great little player. He comes on, he runs at people, he takes risks, all that kind of stuff. I'm glad I haven't seen his name mentioned in departures, which would be not good news for me. But what are your thoughts looking from abroad? I mean, a lot of these younger players coming in, this is where a coach earns his money in terms of development, isn't it?
Yeah. I just want to riff a little bit on something that Anna said, and thanks for bringing up Butterworth. He's one of my favorite players. At our year-end show last year, I said he was going to be the breakout player, and I will stand corrected. If he never really gets to play, he's not going to be the breakout player. But I will say that in the interview today that Coach Holloway had about the Reading game, he said Danny deserves a start. That was something that he specifically said. So hopefully we'll get to see. I don't know if he meant specifically Reading or in the future, but that he's starting to do what the coach wants. But one thing that has kind of I don't even know exactly what I'm about to say because I don't know the game well enough. But it seems like there are some players who either are brought in to score goals, or that's just their mindset. They just when they get the ball, their first thought is they really just want to score a goal. They're going to pass a little and all that, but they want to be the star. And I think Butterworth is a guy who always is looking toward the goal. I think Amin was a guy, I don't have a lot of evidence because he didn't play very much, but who wants to score goals. And I think Hatchabichaman, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. That's the first time I've said it out loud. Is another guy who, when he gets the ball, his thought is, I am going to that goal. I'm going to either score it or I'm going to pass to an open guy who's going to score. And to some extent, I don't think that Coach Holloway likes those players very much. That's not his style. He doesn't play those players very often. They get in with 70 minutes left in the game, or 70 minutes through the game. They seldom start. That's not kind of part of what he seems to be trying to do. And there probably is a method to the madness. He doesn't want individuals going off and just trying to score goals. He wants people passing and being a little more team player. I'm not denigrating any of them. They're all, I'm sure, very good team players, but you just kind of look at those kind of guys and you think they like to score. They really, Drinan scores a lot, but he doesn't seem to hit. He's always kind of back and then just kind of gets in at the last second. He's not dribbling the ball forward himself all the time. Whereas these guys, when they're 30 yards out, they're thinking, I think I can get to that goal.
Yeah, strikers generally are greedy. That's what they do. They want to score goals. It's that simple. And I think with Etcher-Bitcherman, if that's the one thing you could sort of say his finishing hasn't made it yet. He hasn't quite got that locker in his locker. He scored a great goal at Cardiff. He's had a couple of opportunities since, but he's not taken them. So he's, young player. He's coming on loan, and that's what they'll work on, I'm sure, in training. More comments. Hi, Craig. Agree with Anna. Snowden and Glatzel, a Moss and Trollope combo for the 2020s. For those old enough to remember Moss and Trollope in their pomp. Snowden played under Bielsa. Superb, says Adrian. Gary says, could have been even better on Saturday. How did the ref not give for the penalty for a foul on Oldacre? Right, should we get on to Saturday then? Because that is one of my bugbears. I've seen it loads of times, and I can't believe it wasn't. Crewe Alexandra 0, Swindon Town 3, Gavin Kilkenny on 8 minutes, Powell Glatzel on 35, Aaron Drinan on 41. Half-time 0-3, attendance 5,431. The referee, Matthew Russell. Assistants, Harley Hetherington, what a great name, and Danny Guest. The fourth official was Dale Baines. And the penalty for a foul on Oldacre, Mark, discuss. Because I still, for the life of me, can't understand. He had his legs taken away, didn't he? It was that simple.
Pen. Absolutely. Pen. It didn't happen too far away from us. We were sitting in the side stand. Yeah, he took his legs away from him. I actually thought, when I looked at the referee before the game, I thought, oh, here we go. He's prancing about. He looked about 12. And I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to have a right one here.
They all look 12 now, Mark. They all look 12.
Yeah, in comparison to me, they are. But actually, I thought he had quite a decent game. He let the game flow. It was a clear mistake on his part. And if it wasn't a penalty, then it must have been a dive, mustn't it? So it was either one or the other, but it wasn't nothing. I saw Oldacre sort of talk to the referee and get him to try to explain why he didn't give a penalty. And I'd be interested to learn what the referee said to him, because we all thought it was a penalty. Was he feeling sorry for Crewe at that point because they were being so far outplayed and battered by Swindon? I don't know, because let's face it, it was 3-0, but it could have been 5 or 6, and Glatzel should have scored again before half time. Then there was a penalty, several other shots. I think Drinan hit the post just before half time as well, if I remember rightly. So all in all, it was a really, really good day. I agree with lots of comments that have come before. It's probably one of the best performances I've seen from us, certainly away, for several seasons probably, and leaves us feeling very positive. I would just add one note of caution, and I don't want to sound like the voice of gloom and doom here, but we've got to be a bit careful we don't get carried away. I'm sure Holloway won't allow them to do that. And we also don't want to underestimate the fact that, as Rob said earlier on, Crewe did not have a powerhouse up front. Neither did they have really anybody who was particularly tall in comparison to Barnet. And I think those are the teams that this team may well struggle against. And that's why the signings of Tafazoli and Palmer are absolutely crucial, because they give us several things. They give us physical presence. They give us aerial power. They also give us experience. And Anna was talking about the youngsters at the back in particular. It was quite interesting that Palmer won a few headers in his own box, let alone the 3 he made out on the wing right at the end of the game, you might remember. And those players are absolutely vital in League Two, because those sorts of games, the performances that we saw on Saturday, we probably won't see too many more of those. It'll be nick and blitz for most of the time. So that's something we just need to be aware of. I'm sure Holloway absolutely is, delighted as he was, like all of us, with Saturday, and just be aware of the Barnetts and the Barrows of this world that are going to present a completely different proposition to what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the point is, I still think that first 45 minutes was as good as you possibly could get at League Two level. And Jerry has made the point, should have been 5 in front at the break, and that wouldn't have been unfair, would it? Because the football was sparkling. Ripley in goal, Wright, Mabete, Wilson, Brown across the back. Clark came on for him on 46 minutes. Snowden, Nichols, who got a yellow on 56, and he was replaced by Eshibichuman on 76. McGregor came on for Snowden on 52. Kilkenny, Munro, and then Oldacre. And then up front, Glatzel, who was replaced by Palmer on 61, and Drinan, who was replaced by the aforementioned Danny Butterworth on 76 minutes. We should say, of course, Rob, that I wouldn't have thought Ollie Palmer knew most of the team's names, let alone anything else, because it did have that feel about it. I think he got on the bus at Walsall on Friday, and, it's like that first day at school when I always remember when we played rugby, the first day we were at school, we all went blue, green, because that's the colours of shirts we had on. It's that sort of thing, isn't it?
I imagine the players on the bus took one look at him and thought, "Oh, he's a big lad. I'll keep out of the way of him until he talks to me. Thanks very much." But,
how's he going to get on the bus? That's another thing.
But players come with reputations, don't they? And I think that's where probably the fans' excitement stems from, because we know Ollie Palmer at this level is as good a player as you're likely to find. His goal-scoring record isn't superb, but his overall play and what he brings to a side, Mark's just alluded to the fact that he could play a pivotal role in securing a victory, not necessarily by scoring goals, but by keeping them out of his own net. And it's scenarios like that which Ian Holloway has been extremely clever in this transfer window to bring in the types of players that will make a real difference at this level. And I think we were very worried and concerned after that Barnet game. Not only were we taken to the cleaners by the side that at that point hadn't won a game and had just got promoted from the league below, but we didn't seem to have any other game plan than dump the ball along to Harry Smith. And obviously Smith gets injured and you think, well, what are we going to do now? And you look at the interview afterwards with him and you think how depressed he seemed at the fact that Harry Smith, one of his own, was no longer going to be playing for us this season. You did wonder how he was going to turn that around. And it's all psychological with that man, and it feels that way anyway. He does these press conferences and suddenly talks about players who aren't going to be playing. Magically, they appear 24 hours later. And you fancy there's an awful lot of clever psychology gone into the way that Ian Holloway might talk sometimes in a very, very strange way, but it's all done with a method. There is very clear ideas behind what he does. And I do think that you look at the quality of that performance against Crewe. And for me, when you talk about quality of performance, you've got to talk about the quality of the opposition you're playing against. We destroyed Carlisle last year, but they were dreadful. So that Crewe performance was totally different. I'd put Grimsby in the mix from last year away from home when we took them to the cleaners, because they were a side in the running at the time. But you looked at Crewe and the way that they'd started this season, that was a game which very few people thought we were going to get 3 points from, let alone come out and play the way that we did. So I'm really encouraged, I have to say. I think there's something to work with in all departments of that squad now, and it's all there in front of the coach. What can he do to bring the best out of that team? And if Saturday's anything to go by, accepting the fact that teams won't let us play in the way that we did at Crewe very often this season. Certainly now we've done it once. They've all seen it on the television. They won't be letting us do that again. Barrow brought lots and lots of very big players in that side, not necessarily technically gifted, but I think we'll be facing a lot of long ball threats this weekend. But all power to them, because I do think that he will have a game plan that will try and counter Barrow, and I'm every confidence that he'll do just that.
Yeah. Ian says, agreed, Mark. One swallow doesn't make a summer. It was quite a swallow, though, I have to say. It's a weird phrase to use, isn't it? Rob says Glatzel could have gone down when their keeper tried to pull him down, a pen and a red card. Would that have helped us given our record against 10 anyway? Fair point. At the end of the day, good lad for staying up. We don't want to peak too early, though, says Jerry. Mabeti was superb on Saturday, says Daz. Can we get Rocky Robin to take our corners? Wright and Oldacre have been not very good. Taking the corners have been awful, haven't they? Let's be honest. Something they've got to work on. Thanks, Adrian. Kevin says, don't forget the Ripley saves, Anna. I mean, they were crucial. He'd made one or two really crucial saves in that first half.
Yeah, I think that's, we've got quality in every area of the pitch, really, and that includes what Ripley offers us. And that confidence bleeds through, doesn't it? That quality and confidence bleeds through. It isn't going to be as easy as we go forward. I think Rob summarised it quite well, that we're going to find different teams attack us in different ways. And they will have seen that Saturday, and they're not going to let Oldacre and Kilkenny double up as they did then. So, yeah, it's quite phenomenal, really, I think, to see what the change was between that Barnet game, even Shrewsbury. Okay, we're a little bit lucky there potentially, but through to Saturday, and that is down to Holloway's psychology. He's obviously able to apply that really well. But definitely, I've got my feet are firmly on the ground, and I'm sure his are, and he'll keep the players' feet on the ground. That it's not going to be easy this season. We're gonna face a lot of teams that won't let us play through the middle, like Crewe seem to want to do at will, to be honest. And there's going to be some bruising encounters coming up. I think that Barrow pitch on Saturday is going to be stodgy, isn't it? As we've encountered before. So we're not running too far with the ball there, I think. So that's something to bear in mind as well. That on that Furness, to trudge through that mud. Maybe their pitch has got better, but I know it's caught us out in the past a number of times, hasn't it?
Yeah, let's hope it's not too windy as well, because of that stand is not the greatest in the world, is it? Hold on to your seat. It's that simple. Lots of messages coming in, loads. Thank you very much indeed. And Darren, thank you very much for your comments regarding the unveiling of the John Trollope statue. Very kind indeed. It was a great moment, and tribute to a great man, of course. Gavin Kilkenny's been a standout player, gives good cover to the defence and added driving runs to midfield, but showing real position discipline. I was really impressed with how Palmer was chatting to the players around him all the time. Could be controversial with some people, but Palmer's an upgrade on Harry Smith, Henry. Love Harry, but it has to be said. And Adrian, I was going to mention this one actually. What about Fleetwood last season on par with Crewe? I mean, that was a pretty good performance as well. Just about ended their playoff hopes too, didn't it? And looking on, Gus, you're now nearly a Town fan of a year. Where would you put that in your fledgling Swindon Town career, if I might say that?
Well, that was a really fun first half of the game. I usually judge how good the games or how bad the games are by how many times I startled a dog by screaming at the TV. And that was at least 3 really good ones. But I have to say, Ripley's saves were also critically important. I mean, it could have been 3-3. He did some really good things, and you really have to give him credit. It's easy to look past that and, just remember the goals. But it was wonderful, obviously wonderful. I mean, there's something I'm just going to say, but it's either ridiculously obvious to you all or completely wrong, and you can let me know which one it is. But the last 2 games, we played a totally different style of football, right? I've been saying, I think every time I've come on, I really don't like the long kicks from the goalie to the middle of the field where it's 50-50, basically. It could go to anybody. It's not a pass. It's just putting the ball in play. And we're not doing that. I mean, the last 2 games, he very, very seldom Ripley kicked the ball like that. We're dribbling the ball up the field, which spreads their defense out. And then instead of trying to get in and just set up an offense on a perimeter around the goal and then pass it around and, around the outside and do nothing, we are trying to slash and basically get a fast break and attack, which is a totally different thing than we've done in any other game that I've watched. And when I watched last week, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the alternative to the other kind of football that we were playing. And it's exciting. It's fun. There will be times I'm confident that it will, if we keep doing it, that it'll totally blow up in our face. They're going to have better people stealing the ball. It's great. Mabete's done a super job so far, but there will be some mistakes, obviously, when you're taking a chance right in front of your own goal to pass the ball around. But I just thought it was really exciting the last two games, watching the kind of the fast break effort. And it just gets back to a point that in most ball sports, possessions are precious. You only get so many possessions in a game. You need to make the most of every single one you got. You can't just be kicking the ball to the other team or saying, oh, we'll get it half the time and they can have it back half the time. So I just really like the way they're playing, seeing that different way that they've been playing.
I think Ian Holloway said he's very impressed with the way they're playing off the ball as well, aren't they? Where they work hard to get the ball back once they've lost it. Mm-hmm. And talking of possession, Crewe had 46.7%, Swindon 53.3%. So pretty close, bearing in mind what we thought was overwhelming Swindon performance in the first half. Shots, Crewe 10, Swindon 19. On target, Crewe 3, Swindon 9. Corners 3, Crewe 3, Swindon 4. Shots, Crewe 10, Swindon 19. I've done that one, haven't I? On target, Crewe 3, Swindon 9. Total passes, Crewe 407, Swindon 472. Now, the league table, which is completely meaningless at this time of the season, professionals will say it takes 10 games to settle down. Well, we're not far away from that now. Gillingham have gone to the top, played 6, 14 points, a goal difference of 6. Chesterfield second, played 6, goal difference 3, points 13. Bromley in third, played 6, goal difference 5, points 12. And then the playoff places, Crewe dropped to fourth. They were top, of course, 6 games played, 4 goal difference, 12 points. Then comes Swindon, 6 played, 3 goal difference, 12 points. Walsall in 6 with 6 games played, 2 goal difference, 12 points. MK Dons in 7th, 6 games played, 7 goal difference, 11 points. Barrow are in 18th place, played 6, minus 2 goal difference with 6 points. They lost 1-0 to Fleetwood on Saturday. Niall Canavan was sent off on 10 minutes. That was for denying a goal-scoring opportunity for Ryan Graydon, who actually got the goal on 37. So we go to Reading first, Mark, which we ought to talk about because there's so many connotations of what he might do, and then Barrow on Saturday. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to go tomorrow, first of all, which I haven't done many years previously. This particular competition, for reasons I've outlined before, with the Abbott at the end of 21s coming in. It's just one of those games where, in some ways, it doesn't matter. He's presumably going to play perhaps 6 or 7 different players. I suspect Ward might start in goal. Gus has already alluded to the fact that Butterworth will almost certainly start tomorrow. I suspect Prince will start, and various others as well, and that's really good. So in some ways, that's a free hit tomorrow. The more important game of the two, of course, is Barrow. Now, going back to what I said about Crewe, much as I enjoyed the Crewe game, and I really did, and I saw you, Vic, and we both had a big smile on our faces after the game. Barrow, the likes of Barrow, the greatest respect to Barrow, the sorts of teams we must beat if we're serious about promotion. It's absolutely no good whatsoever going away and having a really good fluent performance against Crewe. It won't be the same game, I guarantee, on Saturday. No. They will not give us the room that Crewe did. They will be much more direct. Those are the games we have to get something from. A point's not a disaster because you then get 4 points from 2 away games. We know that's fine. But really speaking, a 1-0 or a 2-1 win, gritty, tough it out, with perhaps the 2 new signings either, starting or playing a part in the game, for me is an absolute must. If we're looking, and I know it's early days, if we're looking at being serious promotion contenders, these are the games we simply must win. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, because when that ball's fired up 70 yards from goal kicks, free kicks, you name it, we've got to defend. And let's see if we can do that.
Just Kilkenny's stats, by the way, on Saturday. 90 minutes played, goal scored 1, accurate passes 59 out of 59.
Yeah.
Chances created 3, shots on target 2. Not a bad day's work for the man. 2 games coming up, Rob. Obviously, Reading, I've always thought it's the competition you've got the most chance to get to Wembley in. And we could have both Hetcher Bitchmans on the pitch at one time. because obviously his brother plays for Reading. And Matt Ritchie might also return for his Reading debut. So there's lots of interest in that. But, of course, Barrow on Saturday, in terms of league points, is the most important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think tomorrow night actually is really important, though. Not necessarily in terms of the result, but more in terms of getting minutes in the legs of players who haven't necessarily been playing 90 minutes every week. I think the likes of a Danny Butterworth, the likes of all of those other players who came off the bench on Saturday get the opportunity then to stake their claim. And you hope, I know it will be makeshift. I know it won't necessarily be an 11 you'd see again, but you want to see that those 11 players can step in quite happily and take the place of the ones who've been playing regularly. And I think it's a really important game. So like you say, it's an opportunity. Now we're out of the League Cup. It's an opportunity for us to progress on Tuesday night cup competitions. So go ahead and put a team out. But if we don't get a result, we all know that the most important result this week is obviously now at Barrow. And I think I'm just thinking back to last season and the banana skins that we had were all teams down towards the bottom of the table, weren't they? 2 defeats against Morecambe, home defeat against Carlisle. We lost at Harrogate. We had some really, really tough days on the road against teams we should never have got beaten by. And Barrow was one of those odd performances at the time, because actually we did go up there and get a good result. But we all know how it happened. It was that ridiculously poor performance where somehow we escaped with a goal that crept through a central defender's legs. It was in goal for 60 minutes and we'd not tested him. So we've got extremely bad memories of games at Holker Street. And it's high time we went up there and got ourselves a really, really good performance as well as a result. We did have a 1-0 win there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we did. Louis Reed's penalty, wasn't it? Yeah.
Exactly right, yeah. But it's just not a place that anybody likes to go to. It's in the middle of nowhere. It takes untold numbers of hours to get there. They've got a good chippy. It's the only consolation. They've got a good chippy. But aside from that, there really isn't too much to write home about in Barrow. But let's hope it brings 3 points our way.
I'm looking forward to the 4 o'clock alarm clock. Barrow will see a big turnout from the Scottish branch of the STFC supporters club, says Craig. Now that Carlisle are down, it's our shortest trip at just 3.5 hours. It's all relative. Hi, Adrian. We've had at least 8 medical incidents this season. Please remember, we will do our best to get medical response ASAP. Please don't leave it to the last minute. Thanks very much, Adrian. So then, 2 games coming up, Anna. Both intriguing in their own ways. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I always say about these midweek cup games, whatever tenure of cup it is, that for me it's about momentum. I know it is also about minutes in legs, but we've had a great result on Saturday. Let's just, you know, keep that feel good factor and that confidence flowing through the team. There's going to be a few changes. He's going to try a few different things out, and I think the likes of, as you said, Betcherman will start, and Butterworth and Ward probably, but. Yeah, I want to see us, you know, keep that winning run up. Saturday is obviously more important than that, and a much tougher test it will be Saturday than it was last Saturday, as the reasons we've talked about, that they're going to batter us. They're not going to let us play through the middle. They're not going to shilly-shally about in the challenge. I don't think there were many challenges at all from Crewe, really, were there? I know Kilkenny is a bit of a twinkle toes and could move the ball past them quickly, but they didn't really tackle us. They didn't get stuck in, and Barrow definitely will. So, and the other thing I just mentioned, that anyone going to Barrow, go to Walney Island. It's very nice. So it might not have a lot going for it, but there's a good docks museum, and Walney Island is worth a pitch at if it's not too wet, because you'll get absolutely drowned. But yeah, really, really tough test Saturday. Mark's right. I mean, this is the sort of game that, you know, you've got to come away with something from that game. If you go into that after last Saturday, and you don't put out a showing, you don't work hard, then you're going to get taken to task by them. Make no mistake about that at all. That they're not going to be shrinking violets, and they'll test us, you know, right to the last.
Rob's disappeared because I think it was getting so dark in his kitchen. that the camera couldn't pick it up. So whether he's going to turn the light on or not, I don't know. But anyway, just a couple of results on the weekend, which I haven't mentioned. Oh, there's his door. He went to shut the transfer window. I think that was basically it. The under-18s lost 2-0 against Wickham at home, and well done to the Swindon Town women. They beat Ascot 1-0. Annie Colston on 47 minutes. Of course it was. So 2 games coming up, Gus. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff, which is a bit of a rarity these days. And we got Reading tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm still getting my head around is it the cup games that we do? Is this the Virtue Cup or something?
This is the Virtue Motors Cup. Yes.
I'm just getting my head around that. I mean, I didn't kind of get it last year. I'm sure I saw some games like that, but I didn't understand what I was looking at. Rob said it perfectly, and I think Anna did too. Play whoever, if you got some U18s, in my opinion, put them in. I mean, getting promoted is so much more important than winning a game against Reading to me that I don't even care. Although I would love to see Butterworth and Etchebechaman playing together up front, for a whole game or half a game and see what happens with that. It might be interesting to see. And I have to say the season, 42 games, I think it is. 46. It's a really, really long season. Yeah. There are going to be ups and downs. We're just getting, you know this better than anybody. It's like 10 months long. When my wife asked me, and I said, I think it goes for like 10 whole months, which is a really, really long professional season. It's tough to keep focus, right? I mean, to go up to Barra every week or twice a week sometimes. And, that's going to be one of the hardest things. I think after this last weekend, I mean, they've got to be excited. The players have got to know that they've got something going here. Let's hope this isn't the week that they, take their eye off the ball.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to think that we might play a few more than 42 games. By the way, Gus.
Yeah, it's 46.
Probably nearer 46.
46. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The one you've made a very important point actually, because a lot of the young players who've come on loan. I mean, all of a sudden you're going from under 21s football, and then you're suddenly playing in a 46 game season, Saturday, Tuesday, and that's a big change round. You're suddenly playing a lot of football, and it's men's football as well. So it's a very important point that you made there, that suddenly these younger players have to put the graft in for all these games in the course of a season. And if you have a really good season, you could get all the way to Wembley in the Virtue Motors. You could have a good FA Cup run. Normally we've been playing 51 games in a season with 5 cup games. That's it. But it could go on longer than that. So I think American, is it 16 games regular season for American football, something like that?
I think that's what it is now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Baseball, I know, is about 3,070,000, isn't it? It's
161.
Yeah.
But it's not as strenuous a game.
But basketball, they play a ridiculous amount as well, don't they? So, yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you very much indeed. The sun has indeed set. There's a beautiful pink glow to the sky outside, and you may be lucky and see the northern lights over the next couple of days. Gus, enjoy your basket of crabs and beers and the rest of Labour Day. It's 8 minutes past 3 for you at the minute?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all very much indeed. I'll see you tomorrow night, if not on Saturday at Barrow.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Vic will be back next week with Ray hosting, and we're very pleased to have got Ross Embleton on the sofa next week, so that'll be interesting. And have a good week. See you, whoever's at Reading tomorrow. If not, Harrogate, because I'm not going to Barrow. So I will see. I will see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you very much.
Oh, and thank you, Thelma, as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.